Alright, and we're back. Let me minimize my OBS. Get the video back up over here on my other screen. And so I took a break, drank a cup of coffee. One second. Okay. So I came back and I was just playing around with this. I was watching the video again a little bit for a few minutes, and basically I went back and went through it again, and it seems like this is the problem here. I don't know what is wrong with it. It's not throwing any compiling errors, but when I try to run it, it doesn't like this. So that is commented out. And what Dan was saying in the video was that doing this error handling, there's like more than one way to do it. He said we could do it this way, and then also using the validation, built-in validation through Spring Boot with these deals here, with these annotations. And he said he doesn't like mixing and matching. Like, it should just be one or the other. So I want to go ahead. I'm going to keep this commented out. I don't know why that's showing up. Okay, I don't like that. Anyway, I'm going to keep that commented out and just double check and make sure I didn't comment out other things I need. For example, okay, this dependency is here. He added that. I want to say, where am I at here? Run. I think this was all he did, so let's just check the video. And also, I was watching the recording. I need to turn down the volume on the system sounds, because my mic volume is quite a bit quieter. So I'm going to try to set it at the same level, maybe just a little bit quieter. And we'll see how that comes out on this recording.
Called the validation API. And this is going to be an extra dependency that we need to bring in. So this is one of those things, if you're on start.spring.io and you go through your dependencies, you can select validation and that will bring it into your project. But as I said, there are going to be times where you're working in a project. So I'm going to type in dependency here. Skip. Now I can use the bean validation API. And with that comes a bunch of constraints. So one thing I could say is use the validation constraint of different constraints that we can use. Hey, make sure that this is an email. Make sure it's in the future. Make sure it has a min or a max. Make sure it's not null, past or present. There are all these validations that we can take advantage of here. So I'm going to put one more on miles and make sure that it's positive. I don't want you to be able to enter -5 miles, because an integer could be negative, but in the case of miles, that shouldn't ever be negative. So now I have some validation constraints around this. This will automatically get run anytime we create a new instance of a run, so we're not worried about this one. But these are validation constraints saying, hey, when somebody asks if these are valid, I can let you know if they are.
By the way, he was talking about this one. He's saying this one is created every time a new instance of a run is created, because it's supposed to be a constructor. And he's talking about these ones.
Or not. So one way we can do that is in the run controller. When someone creates a new run, hey, please go ahead and validate it. So we're using the @valid
Okay,
annotation.
that was the other thing.
So before we even call this run repositories create method, Spring is going to validate that the object that's getting passed in is valid based on the rules that we gave it.
Controller.
If it's not even going to go here, and it's going to throw a 400 bad request, again, letting the user know that something went wrong.
Okay. I got that. Where is it at? Create. Maybe this was a problem too. Wait, what? Run controller. Valid. Valid. Not validate. Okay.
So this has been saved. I'm going to go back over to my runners here. And I think I have an invalid one in here. Yeah, so here's one. Let's go ahead and remove the title too. So this, and I can go ahead and try and post this. And right away it's going.
Let's just make sure everything's synced up. Nice, nice. Okay, it's running. Yeah, I think we need to get rid of that eventually too. That's unnecessary. That was just for showing us what's going on. Okay. So run. So let's test these. Not empty and positive. I thought I already did that, but let's do it again. So I should be able to, first of all, get, which I can. I want to post. And this is not supposed to be empty, but it is. It says bad request. What else does it say? Validation failed. Must not be empty. Okay. Now, this is not empty. And let's try to make this negative 8 miles. Bad request. Must be greater than 0. Okay. So that's working. So I have to figure out what is the annotation, if there is one, where started on must be before completed on, or completed on must be after. Real quick, we'll just look at that. So that was, I wish I knew what button he pushed to go right there, but there they are. Future or present. So we don't really care about past, present, or future, do we? Because I mean, unless somebody's doing this in real time, like kind of, I don't know if anybody's used Strava app. When the completed on, if I don't know how their app works, but when you end the run, that's when it saves all the information. So like when you end your run, completed on would be like present. So this would have to be passed, and there's a passed. So we don't really know how this is going to be used. Like, if somebody's just entering, like, you maybe tomorrow I enter in my run from yesterday, and you can do that on Strava as well. You can just enter in a run that you didn't track, like, in real time. So we need to, like, compare these somehow. Some sort of comparison. And I wonder, local date and time might even have a comparison. It might even have a comparison. Now this has it is after. Is after. So maybe local date and time has an is after method. I wonder, like, what is the problem with this. Let's make a note. Find out what's wrong with this code.
Going to say, hey, that thing.
Because for him, it's compiling and it's running. Like, he's got it in there. I think he's going to delete it later, but, like, it worked when he did it. Like, why is it not working for me?
That you're trying to create, the completed on must be after this.
Because this is what's confusing, because I'm not familiar with record. Like if this is just a regular class, this would be just an object. And this is a constructor, like a default constructor. Somehow it's conflicting with these two. Somehow it's conflicting. So, like, alright, at this point we know it works, right? It works. Let's stop. Let's save. Let's actually just confirm it one more time. Double check. It's running. Go back to our postman. And we'll just try to do this one, and that's good. Okay. And I don't think we didn't do a validation for put. There was no validation on put. It would be on the controller, right? I don't have that. We don't have that. Just on the post. I'm pretty sure you'd want to put that there too. Okay, back to postman. Let's get. There's a 3. Let's delete it. Instead of updating, we'll delete it. Get. It's gone. We're gonna post. Try the negative. I don't like that. Get rid of the negative. Alright. Back to IntelliJ. So it works, right? It works. Now, let's uncomment this code. Let's try to run it. And it says here, null pointer. Cannot invoke Java date and time is after. because the return value is null. Why isn't it null for him? What's the problem? For him. Oh. So it's like it's trying to run this comparison before the runs are created. It's like I'm missing something that he's got that I don't have. If completed on. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's not supposed to be there. That wasn't supposed to be there. It's not that I was missing something. I had something extra. I had something extra. Wait. It's null. It was like a method that doesn't even exist though, right? It don't even exist. That's so weird. It was a weird error. I want to read that again. I want to understand like what the compiler thinks that is. So completed on what? There's a method? Wait, why? Why is it even letting me do that without giving me an error, a warning? Like, how is this a thing? Completed on with parentheses, with parameters. I guess it's something to do with local date and time. Because the return value... Well, what should it return, though? That's weird. I'm going to have to... Okay, so I'm going to make a note. Can... the return value. So it's like it's treating like it's a method. Can I use a local date time object as a method? What? Well, why does the compiler? It's like it thinks it's a method. Let me ask ChatGPT. I'm just gonna ask like that. Come on now. Sure, I understand that. Come on, Jippity. It's just weird. Because usually, if you like, let me try to like replicate what I'm thinking here. Like, if I was to, where's a good place to do it? Like, for example, maybe I could do this here. Miles. Look at that. I can do it. Why? Why can I do that? let me take all of this code here, copy it. Putting it in a chat GPT, I'm asking it, why am I able to put parentheses after miles as if it's a method without the IDE warning me? Let's try that. Or I have no method called miles, but I do have a variable. An immutable variable, I think that's the way to call that, called miles. Let me bring this over here. Okay, so again, never learned about Java records until this project. In Java, when you declare a record like this, which I did, there are methods. Assessor methods. So like get. This is a get miles. Interesting. That was the whole, okay. So again, this thing for record, if I was to do this as like an actual class instead of a record, which is what he showed. Let me go back here. This is at 1 hour 26 minutes 40 seconds. 1 hour 26. When we go back to, maybe it's here. Oops.
Runners here. Now we can go ahead and create a method. Let's say public, and I don't even need it.
No, it's
the
not
view
here.
is create something.
Not here.
And let's go. Today is just public. All this code that it needs to generate. It needs to generate.
So if I did this run class, instead of a record, if I did it like this, I would need I would need at least getters. You know, that's why we used record, because we don't need to like set. We would just delete and create a new one with the CRUD operations. That's why we used a record. So a record is like, has all these built-in methods. So like when I was learning Java, I just learned this. This ID equals ID. This constructor public run. It takes in all, you pass into it values for each of the variables, or properties, if you will. And this instance that you're creating a run object is equal to the parameter that you passed in, equal to the ID passed in, equal to the title. And then if another method excuse me, if another method wanted to access that or get that, you would need to create a get method. But usually it's not called duration. I don't know why it's saying duration, but like it would be called get ID, not ID with parentheses. It would be called get ID with parentheses. Just empty, right? Usually, or maybe all the time. But for a record, so I did read this actually when I was looking up information about record. And let me look at, come on, documentation. Where are you at? Can't see it. Why not? Let me see record. Show me the record. Okay. Shallowly immutable. You don't plan on setting anything, changing it. Set it once and forget it. Which must provide at least as much access as the record class. Private final field corresponding to each component, whose name and type are the same as that of the component. That's what's different. The name and type are the name is the same. Instead of get whatever, it's just whatever. If not explicitly declared in the body of the record, implicit implementations for these methods are provided in the body of the record. What is the body of the record, though? Is that inside of those brackets there, or in a separate set, a separate constructor? The implicit declaration of the canonical constructor has the same accessibility. ToString equals hash code. Okay. So that's why I can do it, because it does exist. It does indeed exist. It's really weird. In like IntelliJ, the reason why I had that there is because IntelliJ suggested it. When I was typing completed on it, was like, is this what you want? No, sir, it was not what I wanted. Okay. Okay, let me get rid of that comment. Let me just actually, records have getters. Oh, why did that happen? Did I touch? Records have getters that are named the same as they called it component variable, parentheses. Okay. I think we can continue. So weird, right?
Location, yes. And look at all this code that it needs to generate. It needs to generate
an
instance of it.
Sorry, let me
and we
bring
have
this
a
back
class
over
that
here.
we can now use. Now we have a run repository.
1 hour 20.
Now we can say, hey, the run repository take advantage of here. So I'm going to put one more on miles and make sure that it's positive. I don't want you to be able to enter -5 miles because an integer.
Okay,
So now that it asks if these are valid, I can let you know if they are or not. So one way we can do that is in the run controller. When someone creates a new run, hey, please go ahead and validate it. So we're using the @valid annotation. So before we even call this run repositories create method, Spring is going to validate David's request. And saved. I'm going to go back over to my runners here, and I think I have an invalid. So it's going to say, hey, that thing that you're trying to create, the completed on must be after the started on.
I should test that. I was being lazy and I didn't test it. Let's run. I should have saved. Okay. Postman. Okay. What I can do is just swap these. So this one's gonna go 16T. I don't don't know what. The 16th, so January 16th, 2025. I guess that's military time. 20 hours. This is 30 minutes before. So it is backwards. Completed on is before, 30 minutes before. This must be seconds. Or fractions of a second. So it's about 30 hundredths of a second. Which is interesting. How many decimal places did that go? Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? 9? It's a weird number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's kind of weird. Let's try it. Bad request, and what's the reason? Completed on must be after started on, so. Alright. Alright.
Okay, well that's good. I've got some information there. That looks like it's working. So let me fix the completed on and the started on so that those are valid. And let me run it again. And you are response body 201. Oh, because we have a title there. Oh, that's why. Now this should, I think I did the wrong one, right? Nope, that's still sending a 201. So let's make sure that we are validating this title. So run, not empty. That's true. We don't want it to be empty. And in our run controller, we are saying at valid. We actually want to do this here too. Let me just make sure that the server restarted. It's okay, doing a little debugging is fine. Let's try this again. Let's go over to runners and let's create a new post. And now we get our 400 and we're saying here are the errors that are happening with this. If you don't see all this verbose logging of what went wrong, then you might not have DevTools on the class path. Remember, one of those things that I said that DevTools does for you is restart your application when your code changes. Another thing that it does is send some sensible defaults. And this default to kind of log out this more information on these errors is one of those things. So it says, hey, validation was run. There's a problem. Where is it? It's on the title, and the title cannot be empty. So we're seeing some information there. And if we go ahead and fix that title, which we did in the good example, then it will go ahead and run and save our new run. So that's a little bit about validation. Again, you can kind of do it at the class level. This you could also write a custom constraint for. So there were all the constraints that we saw. There's a way to write custom constraints. I will say when it involves another property, it can get a little bit more detailed on how to write those custom constraints. So I found this so much easier. Again,
So what he's talking about is a custom constraint to compare if completed on is after started on.
I don't know how I feel about mixing and matching these, but I just wanted to show you that you could do that.
Yeah, so he's implying that it's bad to have both styles. Like he's saying, hey, you can do these validation techniques manually by like writing these, but it seems like this is the way to go. But he's not showing how you would do this by creating a custom one of these, which is I should make a note here, because that's something that would be useful, right? Figure that to learn how to do that. Learn Note: learn how to create custom constraints, custom validation constraints, like completed on must be after started on.
Validation there. You can also come in here and do that same validation, right? Like if title dot is empty or is blank, then go ahead and throw some illegal argument exception there as well. So that's a little bit about validation in your API. All right, the last thing I want to show you.
So what's interesting about what he said too is like, I believe the way that he wrote that.
So that's a little bit about illegal argument.
This one. So like, if you had two problems, like let's say you had, and I think this is what happens in a lot of websites, is like you're filling out a form. Well, actually, you know, if you're filling out a form and let's say you're like missing like two different fields, like, you know, it's a required field and you didn't fill it out, I think most websites it'll like say, it'll make them both show up red, like, you know, you did not fill out both of these fields. In this code here, if I, you know, unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure like, I wonder if it would do both of them, like, and I'm not gonna test it now, but eventually I will, because I want to know if, like, let's say the title is empty and the dates are not right, if it would just check this one first and then like throw that error message and that's it, or if it would actually check both of them and throw both. Because I think with these throw an exception, it means it's not going to crash your program. Like right now, it's still running. It just sends the code. It just sends the error. Where is it? It responds like, "Hey, that was a bad request." This is still running, right? I'm just gonna test it now. I'm just gonna do both. What happens when this is empty and the dates are backwards? And heck, you know, for good measure, and it's negative. What happens? Now these two are using the annotation. It's only showing the first one. It's only showing the first one. Yeah, I really don't feel like, I mean, I guess I could do it, right? I might as well. What if I might break something though. I might have to comment out the valid, at valid notation. Let's just do it. And then we'll go back to the controller. Man, I don't want to do that. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. Stop. Run. Okay, it's running. Okay. Let's go back to run. If title is empty, throw new I down here? What in the world? I think I'm touching the touchpad mouse dealie on my keyboard. Title can't be empty. Okay. Yes? Is that what he did? Let me check. I don't know if he actually typed that
exception. If or is blank, then go ahead and throw some illegal argument.
Yeah, he didn't actually like talk his way all the way through that or show it all, but I mean that should be the thing, right? Let's rerun it. Postman. So here, we have an empty title, we have the dates mismatched, and we have the negative, but we don't have any check for that now. Now what do we get? Only the first one. Yeah, so the way that it works is it does them in order. Like, but this takes precedence over these because this was checked before the positive and not empty. But I need to pay attention next time I fill out a form somewhere online, like, because I'm pretty sure, you know, you're on a website and it's like asking you for your name, your address, and phone number, whatever. And if you leave 2 or more of those things that are marked as required blank, all of the ones that you messed up will be highlighted. Pretty sure I've seen that before, right? So how does that work? You know, because you don't want to have to like fix one and then submit the form again and then have to fix another one and fix another one. You want to be told all at once, like, hey, you messed up all of these things, buddy. Yeah. So let's undo what we did. Let's undo that. Let's get rid of this one. Don't need that. Let's go back to... we'll leave that there. Rerun this. I keep forgetting to save. Also, he's talking about if you have the dev tools on and you save your program, it restarts everything. But that must be a feature of IntelliJ Ultimate, because it doesn't do that for me. So there is that. Let's just make sure this is working still. So let's fix the dates. And then let's try to send it. So I'm getting, there's 2 things wrong, and I'm being told two errors. Where's the message? Must be greater than 0. Must not be empty. So the validation seems to be much better. It's actually showing all of it. But it didn't show that. Hold on. Let me go back. Where's the thing? How do I... Oh, because I'm not... Oh, this is it. How do I go back? What am I doing? Why? What? Yeah, I'm pretty tired. Shouldn't it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Let me switch him back again. Switch him on back. I'm pretty sure when I disabled the validation annotations and I had 2 error possibilities in the constructor, it still only showed 1. I'm pretty sure. I really don't want to go back and check again. Now this one, do I have an error count 3? No, I don't. I don't get that. I don't get it. And I think this makes sense. I mean, I don't see any I'm not seeing any mention of the other errors at all. Yeah, so what we really want, what we really want is for everything to be using the annotation. That seems better. And then let's fix this. This has a title. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Okay.
An exception there as well. So that's a little bit about validation in your API. All right, the last thing I want to show you in this module before we move on to talking to databases is we haven't really touched this application.properties yet. We really haven't had a need to do so. So here's where we can start to configure all of the things in our application. We know if I run the application, I look at the console, we know that Tomcat has started on port 8080 because this is the default. But most everything can be configured. So in the case of Tomcat, maybe I already have something running on 8080 and I want to run Tomcat on a different port. You can come in here and change that. So server.port, you see the default is 8080, but if I wanted to change this to 8085, I can do that and run this, and I can see that now it's running on 8085, so I need to run all my requests through that port. This is simply to say that there are a bunch of properties that we can change about the way our application is working. You know, Spring is a convention over configuration framework, meaning if nothing's there, it's going to configure something for you. But if you want to go ahead and configure it and change something, you by all means do so. It'll back off and it'll say, okay, I've been told what to do here. These are all the properties that are based on whatever type of application we're building. So in the case of a web app, we are configuring a server and all the things that go with that. I would say look at the Spring documentation to see what properties are available based on the type of application that you're building. There are also ways to create your own properties. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that today, but if we can, sneak something in. If not, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. I know I have some videos over there on creating your own configuration properties. So I just wanted to mention that because that's going to be important once we get into the database side of things and configuring database connections. So I think with that, we have, I think you should go ahead and give yourself a big pat on the back. You have created a CRUD REST API in Spring. This is the boilerplate of building REST APIs, right? We have this CRUD thing that allows us to list, create, read, update, delete for a specific type, in this case, a run. So this is the foundation for building REST APIs. We've got that. You've got everything you need to start doing that. Now what we're going to do is we'll move on to the next module, and we'll replace this kind of in-memory thing that we've done. So we've done this where we have a collection of runs just in our system, and we'll replace this with actually talking to a database. All right, module 4, talking to...
Oh, yeah. As you can see, it's like 1 in the morning. I got some errands to run tomorrow. I'm pretty tired. So I'm going to stop here. I think it's a good stopping point. So yeah. Thanks, Dan. Let's close that for now. So yeah, let's stop that. Save this. Yeah, I guess we'll continue with this tomorrow. And we want to do this. We want to learn this sometime. Maybe not soon, but eventually. Create custom validation constraints. Also create custom properties. So he mentioned that too. Probably these are useful things to know, I would think. I can definitely see why this would be useful. At least for your peace of mind. Anyway, having everything consistently designed rather than mixing and matching methodologies like he was talking about. So anyway, with that, I'm out of here. See you on the next one.